100 protesters brawling outside New York City Mayor Eric Adams' residence at a rally against the city's failed handling of the situation. Over 100,000 migrants have flooded the Big Apple, and residents say it's time to stop putting migrants before Americans.
And you know what, guys, man, I think most people with common sense, they saw this coming. They truly did.
Over 100,000 migrants have flooded the Big Apple, and residents say it's time to stop putting migrants before Americans.
We don't want freaking symbolism. We want a plan. We want action. We want these migrants out of our city. Put them on a bus. He said, "Who's your daddy?" And they said, "You are, Joe." And ever since then, it's been a tsunami.
And in other big Democrat cities suffering the consequences of Biden's open border, Texas Governor Greg Abbott sending his 10th bus full of illegals to L.A. The city's Democrat Mayor Karen Bass lashing out.
Los Angeles has not extended an invitation asking for people to come. This is a political act.
Okay. Dana Perino,
Yes.
things are getting a little heated in the streets. What do you think that means?
Well, I don't like to see people being violent towards each other, but I also understand the frustration. It's getting hotter, and the Adams administration. Remember, you know the brown stuff that rolls downhill.
Yes,
So
Dana.
it's coming, right? It's happening to the mayor and to the governor, and they're not going to take it for long, right? Because they're going to suffer under it. So they are slowly but surely turning the attention to Biden where it belongs. And the thing about Karen Bass, what we didn't show you, is that just a couple of years ago, she was talking about how great it is that Los Angeles is a sanctuary city. So this continues to be the political own goal of the decade, because they said they wanted them, and now when they have to share the burden of the border states, they're freaking out. And I understand the citizens of those cities saying, wait, what is happening? And you are talking in New York about sports apparatus being taken over by migrants with big tents. This is where kids used to play soccer. Do you think kids don't need to play soccer anymore? And now you have 3,000 single males staying in this place. And how long are they going to be here? I think Eric Adams has completely misread this right to shelter law in New York. It was meant for citizens, not people who are not citizens. And every time they tell Joe Biden that they need more resources and more work permits, what does that tell migrants and the coyotes? Send more here.
Guys, we have got to recognize what's happening. We really do. Again, people like Eric Adams, again, they are being forced to deal with something that they never wanted to have to deal with. Again, they wanted to virtue signal. They wanted to, tell people we're a sanctuary city. We want everyone to come here, to be safe here. We can do things better here than what they can do at the southern border. But then they call them on it, and they're like, all right, we'll send migrants to you. And a year later, they're like, oh, we can't handle this. We cannot handle this. So again, like demons do, they turn on one another. So he's turning on Joe Biden. Joe Biden's turning on him. The governor's turning on him. He's turning on the governor because the governor doesn't want any more of the migrants to other parts of the state. So again, we have truly got to understand what's happening here. Again, they're all trying to shift the blame. And again, who's to blame is the whole Democratic establishment.
That Biden is going to have to deal with this at some point, but it's kind of tipping into one of those things where you could see that. Remember last year in the midterms, the Republicans were able to win 4 or 5 congressional seats in New York. 4. And that was a kind of a surprise to people. What was the reason? It was mainly crime and security. And now you add this on top of it. And there could be, again, like a little bit of a pendulum shift back to the party who is saying we will actually try to deal with this in a responsible way.
You see that, too, that this is hurting Democrats in the next election, potentially?
I think potentially, because immigration has long been an issue that parties have benefited from making political, right? They go back and forth, and no one ever gets anything solved, which is why it is pretty ridiculous for oh, you're making it political by sending people here. Well, that proved that you were just being political when you said this was a sanctuary, right? Because the bare minimum, if you tell somebody I have a sanctuary for you, the bare minimum of what that requires is for you to allow them into the sanctuary that you've provided. And if I don't it's what a lot of these problems are more of a welfare problem than a migrant problem. I mean, these migrants, if they're being told this is a sanctuary, if they're being told you're going to have a place to stay, you're going to have food, you're going to have all of these things, why wouldn't they come? We can't be surprised when they come, but you also can't be surprised when you're being called on it, because that is what you said. And it's one thing to say that and say, this is a sanctuary, we're not like those mean jerks who won't welcome you, and then to have a completely different attitude when people show up and actually, call you out on what you were saying, then you were being political also. I think that unfortunately, it's up to Congress to solve this issue. And I say unfortunately because they don't really seem quite interested in doing that.
It's up to
Never intended to deal with this. The Democrats, they never wanted to deal with this. Again, if you just keep the brown people down there at the border, down there in Texas and Arizona, again, we can look like we're good guys. We can pretend that we're good. We can be virtuous. Again, keep them down there. You deal with it. We don't want to deal with it. And again, we truly have got to recognize there has been a problem at the southern border for many years. Again, during the Trump administration, everything they tried to do, the Democrats would stop. They threw a damn fit. Trying to build the wall. How dare you secure our southern border? How dare you? And again, just recently, Biden's DOJ sued Texas Governor Greg Abbott for putting buoys in the Rio Grande River so people trying to swim across could get over. And I guess they also topped those buoys with razor wire. And again, how dare you do that? How dare these illegals get hurt trying to break into our country? Again, people have got to understand that we have got to start looking out for this country. We do. But again, we have truly got to understand what they're doing, what the whole Democratic Party is doing, is they're saying that we don't want to deal with this. You deal with the Republicans. You deal with this. Again, you're the adults. You deal with it. They're like a bunch of damn kids that are spoiled rotten, that yell and scream, it's not fair, it's not fair. What about the poor migrants? Or what about the poor whatever? Again, it's all an act. They truly just don't want to deal with the issue. They don't want to deal with it, and they want to look like they're good guys. So again, we have truly got to recognize, man, these people, they don't like dealing with stuff. They don't. Guys, I want to share you a piece from somebody I subscribe to named Nate the Lawyer. And his stuff is pretty good stuff. He did some research going back to 2014 showing that New York City, they were, welcoming migrants. Again, they were championing the southern border being open, welcoming these people seeking asylum. And again, we have truly got to understand things have changed. They have definitely changed.
To understand this migrant crisis in New York, I got to give you a little history lesson. So this is the New York City's official webpage. And this happened in 2014. This is Mayor at the time, Bill de Blasio, the guy right before this mayor. And he signs this bill to dramatically reduce New York City's cooperation with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deportations. In other words, what this bill did was essentially say that local law enforcement, the NYPD, couldn't assist in any way immigration officials to deport people, right? So if you wanted to deport somebody, the NYPD couldn't do anything, right? They just were going to all hands off, officially making New York a sanctuary city by law. This was signed, sealed, and delivered. We're not going to help immigration. If you make it to New York, you're good, because we're not going to help in anything when it comes to immigration. That's the first thing happened. So now, remember, that was 2014. Now we're going to fast forward 4 years to 2018. See this article, 2018. And this is where Trump, wins, and New Yorkers open the borders. New York rally urges U.S. to welcome caravans. So in other words, bring all of the immigrants to us. We love them. We love them. And you had mass protests to say, bring them in, bring them in. We want immigrants. Stop the scare tactics, right? Calling Trump a racist, right? We want them. We want them. Look, 30,000 New Yorkers showed up to protest. Bring us the immigrants. That's what they were saying. Bring them to us. We want the immigrants. Bring them to us. You think I'm full of crap. Here it is. Here's the protest.
Let me just pull up these scares. Yes.
I'm not asking you.
So now after bring us the immigrants, right? That's what they said they wanted. So you know what? And the Arizona governor was like, you know what, you big mouth liberals up in New York, you think this is easy? We're going to send you the immigrants. We're going to send them to you. Here's the news report.
The buses keep coming to New York City and Washington, D.C. At first, hundreds, now thousands of migrants arriving in the Northeast after being sent by the governors of Texas and Arizona.
Again, we've got to truly be honest. They literally asked to have migrants sent there. Man, they're a sanctuary city. Man, Bill de Blasio, he signed the papers. They are a sanctuary city. Again, the law enforcement out there, they can't remove them. They can't take them out. So again, they can't assist, with the deportation of illegals. Yeah, we have got to understand. They asked for this. That is literally what they asked for. Again, and now they get it and they don't want it. Because guess what? They got to do work. They got to deal with something they thought the adults were going to deal with. They don't want that. They don't want the icky work. They don't want to deal with the mess. Somebody else come clean it up. Mommy, daddy. That's what happened. Again, guys, man, that's what the Republicans do pretty much all the time. Again, they take care of situations that Democrats start. They take care of the mess. We have truly got to be honest about that. They are the adults in the room. They truly are. But hey, guys, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks.
You son of a